Had no idea the world would be so upset about Johnny Mundt leaving the Rams. I mean, that's what everyone was upset about yesterday, right? I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView. Going back to our RamView roots of a few months ago, where we're actually up before dawn and getting this thing in because it seems like the only time we have to get this in. Boy, that ended real quick, kind of. The run it back. Let's take a look at that. You know, everything was run it back. Right after the Super Bowl, but run it back seems to run into a wall that was 6 years deep and 120 rocks high. And I don't blame Von Miller at all for going to Buffalo. I mean, if that's what he wanted, great. He got what he wanted, and that's good. That's awesome. But yeah, I mean, you couldn't expect the Rams to give up that kind of a contract to keep Von Miller in house. It stings. It hurts. But we got a Super Bowl out of it, and Von Miller is 33 in September, and you don't want him under contract for 6 years. And it's highly unlikely it lasts that long in Buffalo. Did I introduce myself? It's just early. I'm still drinking my coffee. It is RamView. It is the March 17th, 2022 edition, and everyone's up in arms about Von Miller leaving. You know, I would have thought it was Johnny Mundt, but I think Kendall Blatton and Bryson Hopkins sealed Johnny Mundt's fate by midseason, and by the end of the year, we knew the Rams weren't going to re-sign Johnny Mundt. He did a nice job for the Rams, and now he's off to Minnesota. And Von Miller is off to Buffalo, and everyone's kind of panicking. And I get it, because he makes the Rams something different and unique. But the important thing to remember about Von Miller is that while he had a fantastic January, before that, he was just trying to fit in and coming off an ankle sprain or ankle injury. And so basically, if you were going to give him something comparable to what the Bills gave him, which you weren't, you would have just been paying for January, for the Von Miller you saw in January, and not necessarily is this the Von Miller that was going to be out there for 17 games and such. No, you're not. So the Rams did most of their work this season, an 11-6 regular season, without Von Miller contributing. Remember, he was also in the 49er game in Week 18 that we lost, when it was really the end of the world, right? No, the Rams did most of their work this season with Leonard Floyd at one edge, and Justin Hollins got the job, played well, got hurt. Then Terrell Lewis, who was okay, got hurt, and then we kept spotting Ogbo Okoronkwo. And then Von Miller came in. And so the Rams really didn't get the fruits of the Miller deal until January. They did get the fruits, though. I mean, that was a pretty ripe fruit they plucked. But right now, the Rams are going with Justin Hollins and Terrell Lewis. Ogbo Okoronkwo is signed with Houston. And so it'll be interesting to see. Of course, I believe they will make a move, but I also think they're going to wait until they see something they like and then make a move with the draft picks they're accumulating. And there is still some assets in the house, and we're going to get into that a little bit. So who's on the left? Who's left on the edge in free agency for the Rams to go after, and who can fall to them in the draft? With the offensive line seemingly settled, I'd expect them to take an edge rusher first. But let's look at the free agents that are still on the board. Jadeveon Clowney, Melvin Ingram, Justin Houston, Jerry Hughes, Derek Barnett. You have players there who haven't lived up to their expectations, and you have players there that are as old as Father Time. Derek Barnett with the Bills. Jerry Hughes, are they every down guys? Jerry Hughes was just a first-round pick back in 2017 of the Eagles, and they didn't even re-sign him. Justin Houston, great, but does he play all the snaps anymore? Although he did have, I think, 11 sacks this past year. No, that was Jadeveon Clowney. But Justin Houston was solid, but again, he's long in the tooth. Melvin Ingram played well for the Chiefs, but again, he only played really half a season. That's all you kind of get if Charger fans remember. And then you get Jadeveon Clowney, who's 29. He seems like he's been around forever because he's bounced everywhere since coming in with Houston. But he's only going to be 29 next September. And he's coming off his best, one of his better years, and he's good at stopping the run. But I don't know if I want to pay him anything significant. So my expectation would be, And with the Rams would be that they would wait and see how this market plays out, and then get someone a little bit further down the line. I just can't see them um, spending a whole bunch of money on players that maybe or maybe not are going to cost too much, and not worth the risk or the reward, and you won't get the reward. So I think they'll stick with Justin Hollins and Terrell Lewis. There's a reason they've stuck with Justin Hollins and Terrell Lewis this far, is they believe in them, and so it'll be interesting to see. So I expect the Rams to wait before making a move. In the draft, which is loaded with edge rushers, but by the time the Rams draft at 104, their first pick, most of the top flight edge rushers will all be gone. Names that have popped up on the Rams boards are Dominique Robinson of Miami, Ohio. Jeffrey Gunter has repeatedly popped up in various mock drafts from Coastal Carolina, and Michael Clemens from Texas A&M. All three of those guys have popped up a couple times. Gunter the most, but the one to keep an eye on, the two to keep an eye on, are Dominique Robinson from Miami, Ohio, and Michael Clemens of Texas A&M, because they both played in the Senior Bowl. And we did a breakdown last week on how many players the Rams have taken from the Senior Bowl rosters. And so they might have an edge up, but no one knows. All you know is that you're probably not getting a starter there, and that you're going to fill out your roster a little bit in terms of depth, and then someone you can develop. But that's kind of the names. I'm not saying those will be names, but if you see a Senior Bowl roster designation attached to somebody who's in the draft and at about the 104th spot, then keep an eye on them, because it's possible the Rams could go after them. In terms of assets, well, let's also remember they also have Chris Garrett, who they drafted in the 7th round. He didn't take a snap last year. Chris Garrett was kind of the darling, a little bit of the Nelson Spruce last preseason. Everyone kind of liked him. I think he's a Division II kid, Division II. But anyway, we know who Chris Garrett is, and they're hoping to develop him. But do you really think he's going to contribute this year? I don't think so. Keep an eye on Justin Hollins. Keep an eye on Terrell Lewis. Assets. So it was confirmed. We knew this through the projections that you'd see in terms of who the Rams acquired compensatory picks from, and including what they had remaining of their own draft picks. The Rams have 8 picks, solid, and these are their slots that they're in. 104th slot, I wasn't sure if that fell under 3rd round or 4th round, but they're listing it in 3rd round, and that's the Brad Holmes comp pick. Brad Holmes, African-American player personnel director for the Rams, scouting director, I think it was, signed as a GM with Detroit. So the Rams got 2 3rd-round picks. So the Rams got 104th spot in the 3rd round, 142nd spot in the 4th, 175th in the 5th. They have 3 6th-round picks, 211, 212, 218, and they also got 2 7th-round picks, 238 and 253. So before you dump all over the 7th round, 250th pick, it was at the 249 pick, 250 pick. I think they got Nick Scott a couple years ago, and then last year they got Ben Skoranek. And whatever you want to think about Ben Skoranek, the guy was contributing. You were getting clicks out of him in the Super Bowl, no less. So these guys do play a part. So that's 8 draft picks. But also look at this, that the Rams could deal in advance. The Rams have, by their account, a loaded draft class potentially coming in 2023. The Rams so far still retain their own 2nd round. I know, miracle, huh? The Rams also retain their own 3rd. They retain their own 5th, but with the signings of Von Miller, Darius Williams, and Austin Corbett with other teams, the projected compensatory rounds for those guys are 5ths. So the Rams could get 3 5th-round picks for those guys, moving their total to 4 5th-round draft choices. Sebastian Joseph Day, good guy, signed with the Chargers. So he's likely to net a 6th-round pick to go with the Rams' 6th-round pick. So that'll give them 2. And then the Rams already own their 7th, but likely, I'm not saying it's for sure yet, they'll get a 7th round. I think they will, a 7th round pick for Ogba Okoronkwo. So that takes the Rams to a 2nd, a 3rd, 4 5ths, 2 6ths, then a 7th. You know what that means? The Rams have 10 potential draft picks next year. For them, that's loaded, okay? Now, when we're also talking assets, keep an eye on the receiver room. I don't think, I think the Rams will sign OBJ. Woods is coming back. and you also have a guy Cup, right? What's his name? Oh yeah, Cooper Cup. But you also have Van Jefferson, Tutu Atwell, and some other names there. And it would be interesting is that maybe one of those guys, Atwell or Jefferson, I could see, because I don't know what you're going to do with Atwell if he's not going to be returning kicks or punts. Is he going to get on the field? And you wasted a second round pick on a guy that's not going to get on the field. I think they like Atwell. So I keep an eye on either Atwell or Jefferson possibly being moved. It could happen, coupled with some draft picks, and if the Rams see something they like. And I was on Twitter last night, and this is a shout out to the guy that does Rams Report. I don't know him. I don't even think we're friends on Twitter, but we engaged last night a little bit. And he said, "When was the last time the Rams have ever done anything you've wanted them to do?" And it's true, and yet we always end up satisfied. So keep an eye on the Rams. They can still make some moves, and they'll make some unconventional move that'll blow us away. And also, look towards as we get into June. There's going to be probably some more cuts, players available because of salary cap issues, and also as you get into the season, there's going to be teams that are going to perish, spoil, and fade as week 6, week 7, week 8, week 9 comes around, and they realize they're not going anywhere, and they have to make a deal before the trade deadline. And then the somewhat carpetbagging Les Snead is going to drift in with a deal that they can't refuse. So keep an eye on that. Finally, on the offensive line, everything seems set. Big Witt's retired. Noteboom was signed. You're not going to sign Noteboom to that contract he got signed to and expect him not to start. David Edwards will be at the left guard next to Noteboom at left tackle. Brian Allen will return. They signed him to a contract at center. And then at right tackle, Havenstein is still locked up, still playing very well. I think he's really underrated for as well as Rob Havenstein plays. And no, the right guard spot is open. And the Rams, I don't know if there's anybody out there that they want to get. There's really no one on the market right now that's a true beast of a guard that they want to bring in. So look to the roster right now. And the Rams really don't keep people around to fill out the roster. Every time you think they're just keeping somebody around, it's usually somebody they're developing or has plans for them. Coleman Shelton, I think, has been on the roster for 3 years. And he's been a little more than an afterthought, really. No one's really talked about Coleman Shelton. You don't hear his names as a buzz. But the Rams gave him a 2-year contract to keep him in-house. And he played well subbing at center last year, and he's a center guard type. Expect him possibly to get the first shot at the right guard spot. So keep an eye on Coleman Shelton. Also keep an eye on Tremaine Ankrum. He's heading into his 3rd season after being taken in the 7th round, 250 overall. He fits the Rams profile out of Clemson. That 250 to above 240 pick on the last day in the 7th round is generally where the Rams do some pretty good business. And also the other thing is with Shelton and Ankrum and Alaric Jackson is they add depth to the Rams offensive line, and it's cheap depth. It's depth they've accumulated, depth they've gone to in the past and gotten great clicks out of. They got clicks out of Noteboom. They've gotten clicks out of Alaric Jackson. They've gotten clicks out of Coleman Shelton. And so they've got depth there, in-house depth. It's not big name depth, and it's also contract reasonable in terms of what they're paying. I don't think what they're paying Ankrum, Jackson, and Shelton in any one season is going to come over $1.5 million. So it's interesting. So don't expect a free agent at this point. Expect them to look to the draft and, again, restock and build until these guys contract out and move on for greener pastures. So the Rams are looking good. Don't get stressed. The division keeps getting weaker. They lost DJ Jones up in San Francisco. He signed with Denver. He was top run stuffer. And we've seen what the 49ers have done to the Rams running game the last 3 years. So he's gone. Chandler Jones left Arizona. Last I saw, he signed with Las Vegas. And so the NFC West is not getting better. I think the Rams are holding serve. I don't think the NFC West is going to be one of the better divisions in football next year. It's not going to be bad. It's not going to be NFC East quality, but Arizona and Seattle look like they're going to take a step back, and San Francisco is a roll of the dice because of they're going to be starting a young quarterback who really hasn't taken a lot of snaps since 2019. Okay, we're coming up to the 15-minute mark, and I'm Joe Tarosian. I want to say thank you for clicking on and subscribing. I'm not at a cool spot yet where I don't have to mention subscribers. I would love subscribers, but I have to mention it. So they say you've reached the cool place where you don't have to ask for subscribers. Well, I'm not there yet. So check me out here on Joe T Sports, where you see RamView. We try to do it every day, as well as at joetarosian.com, where I publish FanView on Mondays. We also have College Hoops Breakdown by Riley Saxon that's covering the tournament right now. We also have the Urena Express done by Stephen Urena, who goes and checks out the whole baseball scene. Right now, he's giddy about Freddie Freeman. And then I come back on Friday with From the Ram Cave, which is an NFL column largely centered, completely centered on the Rams, with a few tidbits about the NFL. Also, as I said, I am a writer, and these are my books. Sin Virus is my most recent one, an explicitly Christian dystopian novel. And this is Tangent Dreams. It's my high school football novel that I came out a few years ago. It's on Amazon. It's got some great reviews. And please check it out. And that's how we support it. I'm not a Patreon guy, not yet. And we'll go from there. I'm also a pastor of a small church in Burbank. Folks, thanks for your time. Thanks for clicking on. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for the encouragement. Thanks for the nice things that have been said. Thanks for the swag that has been sent to me. And we will talk to you tomorrow. And until then, go Rams.